Now, I cannot defend this. If I were being interviewed publicly in a podcast, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying now. I think the Trinity is one of the most, if not the most, profound dogma across religious traditions. It's not exclusive to Christianity. There is a Trinity in Hinduism as well. There's Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. One is the destroyer, the other one is the creator, and the other one is the perennial force that underlies everything. In the Christian tradition, we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which permeates everything. I heard recently the question was, well, since idealism is a monism, doesn't it contradict the Trinity? And then the answer is, of course, not. When we talk about monism as opposed to, say, dualism, it's a question of substance. So dualism will say there are two fundamentally different and both irreducible substances, mind and matter. You could even have more substances. You could be a trialist. Arguably, I have heard that criticism. I don't know whether it's fair, but I know the origin of that criticism of Sir Roger Penrose, that he is a trialist because he postulates mind, matter, and a Platonic realm of values. And it's not clear if he's reducing any one of the three to any one of the other two. But the Trinity is not a trialism of substance. The Trinity is a trialism, probably, of perspective, or a trialism of principles of organization. In my discussion with Rupert, the way he interpreted the Trinity under analytic idealism or on top of analytic idealism was the Father's mind at large, the Son are the dissociated processes, and the Holy Spirit are the archetypes that govern the dynamics of both. And I thought this is very, very reasonable to explain things this way. My own position as somebody who has always been intrigued by the dogma of the Trinity in Christianity, which is an idea that came in the 4th century. It doesn't come from Jesus at all. It's something that came almost 400 years later. And I thought, this is brilliant. If you read cynical historical books of history, they would tell you, well, it's an incoherent story because they had to find some consensus during a church convention, get everybody on board. They came up with this silly consensus, which is internally inconsistent. I never bought that. I always sensed a kind of profundity in the dogma of the Trinity. I always was intrigued, like there is something here I don't quite grasp. And that's where I will not go all the way with any interpretation that makes absolute conceptual sense. Because I think it is deeper than what we can capture through conceptual reasoning. In other words, if you have a neat little story and you go like, oh, now I understand the Trinity, then you didn't understand the Trinity. If you know what I mean. There is something there that is more profound, precisely because of the apparent inner contradictions of it. Now, I cannot defend this. If I were being interviewed publicly in a podcast, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying now, even though I know that we may cut a clip from this and put it on YouTube, which is okay, because then it will be very clear that there was a context to my saying this. And if they ignore that there was a context to it, then it's their own fault. And it's not my responsibility. So I can't defend what I'm saying right now, but my sense of smell tells me there is more to the notion of the Trinity than we can make neat sense of with playing a conceptual game. And that's an idea I tried to explore in More Than Allegory, my 2016 book.
We now run a weekly membership program with Bernardo Kastrup that you can join at withrealityinmind.com. This includes weekly Q&As, special guests like Rupert Spira, Micheal Levin, Federico Fagin. There's an international, vibrant community of researchers, academics, meditators, mystics, philosophers, poets, creatives, musicians, anyone that wants to deeply understand this philosophy and its potential implications for their lives. In this next clip, Bernardo explains his motivation for wanting to start this program, which include helping anyone that wants to deeply understand this, but also helping anyone that wants to become an ambassador for idealism.
For me, personally, helping create not only a community. I'm not trying to do activism here. I'm not trying to build an army of analytic idealists, but creating a community in which a deeper understanding of idealism in general, perhaps analytic idealism in particular, because that's what I can offer more, but a community around idealism that truly and deeply understands what it is, more than the average person who has heard about analytic idealism. I'm still getting today, after 15 years, mostly the same questions I used to get in year one. So progress in the world at large is very slow, but within a sort of a nurtured community, I think we can achieve a lot more and go a lot more in depth. And to use a word I used with Amir when we were discussing this, I don't know whether it's a goal or just a wish, so I'll keep it as a wish. I would like to help foment a community of ambassadors of idealism, people who will be equipped to go out into their communities, go into the world, and not preach analytic idealism, but when the subject comes up, they will be a sort of a source of light, an informed source of clarifications, of arguments, of reason, basically, a source of reason in their communities. And maybe that starts something that grows organically. By nature, I'm also a natural introvert. So playing a public role is fairly unnatural to me. It's something I can do because I learned, life forces you very early on to behave like an extrovert in science, in the corporate world, and especially when you're a book writer, you have to put your face out there and talk to people, confront the world. But by nature, I am an introvert, and so, and this may sound a little bit egocentric. Maybe it is. It would be nice to have more voices out there, so I could feel more comfortable myself to allow myself to disappear in my Swiss Alps mountain every now and then, knowing that there is a whole group of people out there who are carrying the torch still. So yeah, those were my sincere motivations for this.